If you've ever worked a job where you're the only one there at night, this is the one that stays with you. There's a reason they tell you to lock the door the second the last customer leaves. Hannah learned that the hard way. Once. She was 20, working the overnight shift at a gas station off the highway, the kind of place with 2 pumps, a cooler that hummed too loud, and nothing around it but corn and dark. 10 at night to 6 in the morning. Most nights, she saw maybe a dozen people. Truckers, a sheriff's deputy sometimes, people who didn't want to be seen in daylight. She liked it, honestly. It was quiet. She'd do her coursework behind the counter and watch the road. The night it happened started like any other. Around 1 in the morning, a car pulled into the lot and parked at the far edge, past the pumps, where the light didn't quite reach. It didn't pull up to a pump. It just stopped, facing the store. The headlights went off. Nobody got out. She didn't think much of it at first. People nap in that lot all the time. But after 20 minutes, she noticed she kept looking up at it. There was something about the way it was angled, not pulled in to rest, but turned to face the windows, to face her. About half an hour later, the door chimed and a man walked in. Ordinary. That's the part nobody believes. Not a monster. A regular-looking guy, 40s maybe, ball cap, a jacket too heavy for the season. He nodded at her, polite, and walked the aisles. He didn't pick anything up. He just walked, slow, end to end. And every few seconds, his eyes came back to her. When he finally came to the counter, he didn't put anything down. He just smiled and said, "Slow night?" "Always is," she said. "You here by yourself?" Here's the thing, people ask that. It's small talk. But something in her went cold and careful, the way an animal goes still. Her mother had worked nights her whole life, and she'd given Hannah one rule: you are never alone. "No," she said, "my manager's in the back doing the count." He held her eyes a second too long. Then he smiled again, said, "Stay safe," and walked out. He got back in the car at the edge of the lot, and the car didn't leave. She told herself she was being paranoid. She tried to call her manager, straight to voicemail. The store phone got 1 bar on a good night. She texted a friend. Guy parked outside watching the store, freaking me out. It said delivered an hour later. For the next 2 hours, the car sat there. Every time she looked up, it was there. Once, she saw the small orange glow of a cigarette behind the windshield. He was awake. He was watching. At about 2:45, he moved the car. Not away, closer. He pulled it up out of the dark and parked it right in front of the doors. Nose in, headlights off. So the only way out of that store was past his window. Then he got out. And he didn't come to the door. He walked around the side of the building, toward the back, toward the storeroom door, the one that only locked from the inside, if you remembered to throw the deadbolt. And in 2 years, Hannah never had. Why would she? She has said she never moved so fast in her life. She got to that back hallway just as the handle started to turn. She threw the deadbolt, and she felt the door push against it. Once, twice. A steady, patient pressure, like he had all the time in the world. No pounding, no shouting. That was the worst part. He wasn't angry. He was just working. She backed down the hall, called 911, finally got the words out, and the dispatcher said the nearest unit was about 20 minutes away. 20 minutes. She went back behind the counter because it was the only place with walls on 3 sides, and she crouched down and she watched the door. The pushing had stopped. For a few minutes there was nothing. And somehow the nothing was worse, not knowing where he was. Then his face appeared at the front window, right up against the glass, hands cupped around his eyes, looking in, looking for her. She held her breath like he could hear it. And then, headlights, big ones. An 18-wheeler swinging wide into the lot, air brakes hissing, the whole cab lit up gold. The man straightened. He looked at the truck. He looked back at the store. One more time, almost like he was disappointed. And then he walked to his car, calm as anything, and drove away. The trucker who pulled in that night will never know what he did. He just wanted coffee. Hannah gave him the whole pot, and she shook so hard she could barely pour it. The deputy came. They took a report. No plate, she'd never gotten a clear look, and the car had been parked nose out in the dark on purpose. They were kind about it. They said there wasn't much to go on. She quit the next week. Here's the part that still keeps her up. A couple of months later, Hannah ran into the girl who'd taken over her old shift. They got to talking, and the girl's face changed, and she said, "Hey, random question. Did you ever have a regular? Older guy? Ball cap? Because there's this man who comes in some nights, and he never really buys anything, and last week he asked me..." She stopped. "He asked me when the other girl works, the one who used to do nights. He said he must have just kept missing you." Hannah never went back to that town, and to this day, whatever job she works, whatever the shift, she locks the door the second the last customer leaves, every single time. If you're working tonight and you're the only one there, do the same.